Today I'm replacing the rear shocks on an Audi SQ5 and just thought I'd make a quick video talking about shock replacement. Something very, very common is I get people that come into the shop and they say they just had their oil changed somewhere and they said they need new shocks. Please check my shocks, or just double check and see if it actually needs them. And I'll bring the car into the shop and I'll see that the shocks seem to be functioning properly. You can do a function test. It's very basic. It's, you bounce the car and you see how quickly it returns back into position. You visually inspect the shocks. If they don't appear to be dumping fluid and they are functioning correctly and you don't have any abnormal noises coming from the shocks on a test drive, then the shock is good in my opinion. But many times you'll see that I don't know if it's just the way they're trained or just the way that they're, told to sell a particular job, or if it's the advisors, or I'm not really sure what the problem is, but at a particular interval, they'll be told to replace the shocks. It'll be at, 50,000 miles, replace the shocks no matter what. And I don't really believe in that. I don't think that's how it should be done. I may get, some pushback on this. I'm not sure, but in my opinion, if they're still functioning correctly, you should just continue to use them unless they actually have a functional problem. Obviously, if they're dumping oil all over the place, these ones, for instance, were leaking. They were leaking pretty good and they were bouncy. You could push the back of the car and it would continue to bounce. They weren't returning. They've been leaking for a long time, slowly. And there was a actual issue with the shock itself. It's nothing to do with the miles that are on the car or anything else. So, and what you'll see a lot of times, which to me is kind of sad, is the shocks will be replaced at these other, quick lube places or a maintenance place, and they'll replace the shocks with a much inferior part. They'll take out your factory shocks that are still in good condition, even though your car has 80,000 miles. They're still fine. They're working correctly. They're not leaking, and they'll replace them with something that's inferior aftermarket part that'll fail quicker. The car won't ride as good. It's just a lower quality part. It's actually a downgrade, versus just leaving what you had. So if you just, if you go to a place and you don't trust what they're saying and it sounds kind of suspicious, it's definitely worth getting a second opinion. And I don't think you should ever feel bad asking for them to explain themselves or to go see your car or have the mechanic show you what's going on. That's all, it's nice too when they're super transparent and they attach images of, what they're seeing, or even do a video if you have to. I do that sometimes. I'll attach a video to a work order, stuff like that, depending. But yeah, so shocks to me, it's not a maintenance interval thing. It's a check the function of the shock and check to see if it's, if it's leaking. Obviously, if it's a little bit of seepage, I wouldn't replace it yet. I tell the customer sometimes, I'll take an image, I'll say shocks are beginning to leak, but do not recommend replacing at this time. If I see that there's a puddle underneath the shock and it's completely blown out and it's bouncing all over the place, of course I'll say you need to replace your shocks, because at that point you can start to compromise other suspension components. You can start to get weird tire wear. You can do a lot of other things, and plus the car is less safe. The shocks are a large factor in the car's handling, so actually one of the biggest factors in the car's handling. But yeah, so that's it. Thanks for watching.